Love listening to an acoustic guitar, by the way. Did you know when you picked that song for today? Did you choose it for today by any odd chance? I mean, I know.
You chose it.
I chose it? Well, then Spirit did it, because as I was listening to that, well, there are 3 weeks a year that a religious scientist turns their eyes and mind and heart towards Jesus. Christmas, Holy Week, and Easter Week. And this is Holy Week, Passion Week, which I'm going to talk about. And so as you were playing that beautiful song in a unique rendition, different than I believe most of us are used to, I was listening to it with that in mind, of what an amazing song to sing, to talk about a teacher, that teaches principle, whether Christian or religious science, of doing it my way. And I listened to the words with a very different ear today. So again, perfect synchronicity. Thank you for that lovely song, because how interesting. Here we are, and it is Easter, Holy Week, Passion Week, and I'm going to get to that in a moment, because that's what the talk is about. And today's talk is Praise, Then Raise. I want to thank Reverend Lori Sheets, who was our guest speaker last Sunday. She's back in San Diego and has sent her appreciation and her love and how much she enjoyed being here as part of our community for the weekend. So that was wonderful. So thank you for that. And since I'm praising, and which is part of a gratitude thing, because in order to raise up in consciousness, or next week in resurrection, you need to praise, acknowledge, and bless first. And I want to thank Polly and her husband Bruce, who were here this weekend, working their tails off, literally, because we were blessed with a donation. We've been wanting to redo our offices and spring clean. And how are all of us doing with our 27 things in 9 days? Huh? Did you hear part of a laugh and a groan? For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, every year around this time, I charge us to release or repurpose 27 things in your house or office for 9 days consecutively. Not an easy task. And I admitted, as a formerly good Catholic girl would, that I was having challenge with that this year. Last 2 years, easy peasy. This year, I'd get started, and I'd have a day, and then I had to start over. So we were talking about it at our Thursday Science and Mind magazine study circle. And someone had asked, well, why 27 things and why in 9 days? And so we were all putting together the mystical idea of that. And what I learned as I do, my Thursday morning group is, I have to take a large pad because they teach me so much. So we were talking about the mystical qualities of the numbers, 27 and 9. Well, I was clear automatically that 27 and 9, divide each other. There's a common denominator of 3. And I was thinking, well, 3 is the Trinity. And we were going on. And then Bill Heron taught me about the power. What did he say? The power of 3. Oh, you guys will all know that, right? The 3 to the third power. That's where I started to glaze over, right? It's like, well, okay, sure. And then Christine went, and then she sent me email to say that when you take the number 9, which any of you who have dabbled in numerology know that it usually means completion. It also means humanitarian, evolved, making a difference, universal truth. And I love this next part. Making room for new things to come in. So getting rid of clutter. Getting in touch with Holy Spirit and higher power. And I thought, oh, am I so cool? I didn't even know that. 27 and 9, it made sense. So with that charge, when she gave me the new information, it was like we began this. And then, so Polly and I were looking for desks. And of course, we're being very attentive to budget and stuff. But I knew I needed a new desk in there. I need to clear out. Oh, wait till you see it, Connie. I want to take Connie and Catherine in to show. So I saw this desk on Craigslist. And if those of you who do know me know I love glass and I love lucite, clear things that I can see through, right? And there was this beautiful desk. It was like, it wasn't badly priced, and they had this stuff. Well, Sandy, Polly, and I went on Friday to this wonderful place downtown. They said, well, come look at the desk. I was like, okay. Went to look. Well, it turns out it's a company, this will be near and dear to a couple people's hearts, company called Mary's Gone Crackers. Yes. Which, if you are a gluten-free, healthy cracker eater, you know who they are. They sell at Costco and S&S, and they have great cookies and crackers. So I walk in, and immediately the energy is great, and I see these clear desks, and I'm like, oh, and then I walk in further, and then they have these giant 27-inch iMacs all over the place, oh, and then they have the desk that I really wanted, which is electric and comes up, and then they have cookies and crackers that I could actually eat, but I wasn't there for that. So we talked to them, and they had the desks, and they had the little file cabinets and all that, and we were talking. It was like, oh, these are nice. Turns out they donated it to us. These wonderful, kind souls. So I have a new desk and file cabinets, and Polly inherited my other lovely, wonderful desk, and we have another desk. It was a delicious demonstration for us all. They even gave me a box of their new crackers to try, and because you'll see this, one of the things I talked to them about, as I tried to slow down my conversation enthusiasm, which was not easy, is that I'm going to go back and get some of their crackers and cookies and have it for a social hour. And they said, oh, well, okay. They were like, it was a delicious, truly, in both terms, demonstration. So then we had all these things, and then sweet Carl, helped Polly and Sandy, and we delivered everything. And then yesterday moved couches and desks, and I cleaned every crevice and baseboard and flooring thing, because you're not putting anything new in my office until that's all done. That's just the nature of what I am. So between Polly and myself, we did the 27 things in 9 days for all of you. Truly. So again, thank you to Polly and her wonderful husband, Bruce, who probably said, oh yeah, I'll help you assemble a desk, and ended up being here until 4:30. So thank you for that. So we are truly feeling that concept of what I was trying to get across and didn't quite have the articulation yet of releasing or repurposing 27 things for this magical idea of the 27, the 9, the 3, et cetera, to have this spring cleaning. And then it all started to make sense as I prepared for Palm Sunday. Again, for many, many years, as being a religious scientist and a former Catholic, when we get to Palm Sunday and Easter, I have noticed in myself a little resistance. Why is that? One, because I no longer get patent leather shoes and Easter baskets. It's like, well, what's the point, you know? You kids, that's what we did, didn't you? You know, and you had an egg hunt, you got little baskets and candy, and little girls got new dresses and patent leather shoes. That doesn't happen anymore. Okay, then I became a religious scientist, and it's like, well, we don't celebrate traditional Christian things. We talk about Jesus as a role model and as an example, a teacher, but Easter, okay, so I had to get through all that. So then I got to the idea, and we needed to do this. So if everybody would please just turn to somebody next to you, you two there, just turn to someone next to you, please, and hold up your palms like that. Welcome to Palm Sunday. Yes. That is my metaphysical interpretation of Palm Sunday. And yet there's more. So Palm Sunday, which is the beginning of Holy Week, it is also known as Passion Week. And I didn't know why it was called Passion Week, but I was interested because that is one of my favorite words, and we are on our passion and our purpose theme for this year. So I went to look at it, and so I may be official. This is the week between Palm Sunday and Easter, with Good Friday thrown in, because there's like three different things. There's Maundy, Thursday, there's Resurrection Sunday, there's Good Friday, Holy Saturday. I don't know what happened to Wednesday, but it ain't in there. And so Passion Week is so named partly because it is that cycle, Holy Week between Palm Sunday and the resurrection, and about the passion that Jesus exemplified. At least that's what they say on gotquestions.org, which is a biblical software kind of thing you can get. So Passion Week celebrates a whole lot of things that goes on for Jesus during this time, this journey into Jerusalem. So I did a little more, I started getting interested now, so I did a little more research into trying to find the metaphysical version of what Those of us who were raised in a Christian Catholic background know that, Jesus comes into Jerusalem and there are palms thrown at him or waved at him or fanning him, and moves into Good Friday again, the biggest misnomer name I ever heard, Good Friday, where he is crucified, and then moves to the resurrection of Easter Sunday. So I got all of that, and I'm really thrilled that Reverend Terry agreed to do a Good Friday meditation service this year, because we want to continue the depth, the reverence of this Holy Week, as well as understanding the metaphysical concept for those of us as religious scientists. So here's what goes as we start getting into the metaphysical. And I used a lot of research from two people online. It's Reverend Bill Holton, who is a Unity minister, and Dr. Suzanne Freeborn, who is a religious science minister. So I was able to glean some more things. So Palm Sunday represents our human emotions. It asks us to review our expectations, our hidden agendas and beliefs, both positive and negative, and then encourages us, metaphysically, to make a list of things that no longer serve our highest good and begin releasing them. I'm like, ka-ching, yes. That's what we've been doing innately, intuitively. We have been looking at this as a holy process of releasing things, getting rid of the clutter, not only the external clutter of the 27 things plus, or as Christine said, 27 bags of things plus, releasing them, but we are looking at releasing the negative thoughts, ideas, actions, and beliefs that stand in our way. That's our charge, and that's the unique part of being a religious scientist, believing in the science of mind theory. So why I charged this to you, besides knowing that I thought this was a pretty cool, intuitive, spiritual ritual, was there is something about if we start to release the tangible things that out here clutter our lives, we automatically start to be intuitively releasing the negative thoughts, the negative foods, the negative actions that fill our lives, and we become mindful and conscious. And that's our charge 365 days a year, to become mindful and conscious. And so around springtime, with the spring cleaning and the spring awakening, and our theme this month is revival, we get to do that externally as well as internally. So we're moving forward on that. So there was a perspective of Palm Sunday that I hadn't thought about. So here is this master teacher who did it his way, who was teaching the gospel as he knew it before it was even called the gospel, actually, and teaching these ideas about love and kindness and these things that I do, you too can do. He was moving through that, and he was at a unique portion of his ministry about a year into it, where he was beginning to get, if in our terms, quite the bit of celebrity. He was quite the dude. People were flocking to hear him, see him, to touch the nethermost hem of his garment. So imagine, if you will, 2,000 plus years ago, whatever, when he's getting ready to enter into Jerusalem, it's kind of like entering into Hollywood. He had an entourage. He had pre-press, all without live streaming and television, by the way, all without that, but by word of mouth, by a vibration of consciousness, people knew that he was coming. Now, Palm Sunday and Easter are attributed to all four Gospels in the Bible, which doesn't always happen. With a lot of the details in the Bible, you'll get some stories in one or two or another one, but when you go to Palm Sunday and you start getting to Easter, all four Gospels begin to talk about this. And they begin to talk about his journey into Jerusalem, the hot town, the big place. This is where everybody was coming to. So here comes this celebrity. And he decides even to enter in differently. Instead of walking into town to preach and teach, again, he decides to come in and make his statement known, and he chooses a different vehicle, not one that we're too familiar with, but he brings a donkey or an ass, and they get a specific one so that he can come in. He and his disciples wear a unique cloak for that day. And so I'm starting to look at this differently. There was intention set for what was going on. He was indeed doing it his way in how he was going to teach and preach this ministry, showing people. Now, we didn't have the red carpets that we're used to in Hollywood, but what they did do was the masses, the people, went and gathered branches and palm leaves and fronds and scattered the path and put that down for him as a red carpet, if you will, for his entrance into this big city. And he goes into the city, and it was a unique day for him because it wasn't all pomp and circumstance and glamour and stuff. I mean, he kind of had his issues with the money changers, or we might think he was the telemarketers of this day and age. I don't know, but the money changers, I mean, so he had his human responses to that. But so did the people. So here is this amazing man coming forth on what became known as Palm Sunday because of the palms that the children and the people used to welcome him in a special way. Here he was coming to teach and preach, knowing, even as the song said, that the end was near. Knowing that there was a point where he was really going to have to release and let go and let God in a different way, in a more challenging way, in order to make that point and that difference. And what passion and courage it must have taken to be this man at that time, to do this walk. So the people had expectations, they had ideas about who this Jesus was. Even in one of the biblical references, he was referred to as the King, the Savior coming. People had different responses, and don't we have different responses from people in our lives, their expectations about us, about who they think we are, or how we're supposed to show up, or how we're supposed to dress, how we're supposed to arrive, what we're supposed to teach, do, be, explain? Well, it was kind of centralized and quite focused on this one man, and he knew that this was a critical week, a holy week. So here, based on Reverend Horton, the Unity minister, is how they define it in Unity, which is a sister New Thought organization to us, the metaphysical perspective interpreting this event. Excuse me. Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem, represents our abiding consciousness of inner peace. Oh, we often talk about that at Christmas, Jerusalem, the peaceful city where all is well, and we strive to be there. Jesus, the teacher, Jesus the Christ, at this stage in his ministry represents the mature awareness of the Christ nature. One of the things that we talk about in Unity or religious science is we don't just say Jesus Christ. We say Jesus the Christ, Jesus the anointed one, Jesus the up-leveled one, because it's about what he ascribed to and attained in consciousness. He didn't receive mail, Mr. Jesus Christ. It really was an honor. It was a title bestowed upon him that he earned. The donkey represents meekness, a willingness to surrender to our Christ-like nature. So what a brilliant idea for this man to choose a donkey to sit upon, to come into this sacred town, to show the meekness, and we talk about in the Bible, the meek shall inherit the earth. And if you translate that from Aramaic, it means meek, means teachable. So he was walking, although he was writing, walking his talk. He was coming in to teach, to be meek, to be present, to be open and willing and available, so that he could teach that as he came through. The palms that were strewn for him signify spiritual strength, receptivity, and enthusiasm. The crowds that gather usually refer to the multitudes of material thoughts that are close to being raised to their higher spiritual essences. Aha. So, who among us, as we are maybe approaching this 27 things, have not gone to the multitudes in our head, the crowds in our head? We've often talked about it here, about the committee in our mind that talks at us and judges us and complains to us and is critical and, yammer, yammer, yammer 24/7. So the crowds in our mind that are cluttered with thoughts of the human realm have an opportunity this holy week to become still and conscious, so that as the thoughts come forward, we can perhaps release them, we can perhaps repurpose them, we can perhaps recreate them to be thoughts that will outpicture through the creative process of law into a life of demonstration. Hosannas. Well, we've all heard that. Anybody who's listened to Jesus Christ Superstar knows that the hosannas are the song, the huzza huzza that the crowd sings to welcome. And that represents the harmonious energies within us that sense freedom from erroneous and error negative thoughts. So they're calling to Jesus as he's entering, and they're doing that much like we might be doing Om when we do our chants, which, by the way, remember, those of you who may not have remembered or known, Deepak and Oprah are starting a new 21-day meditation cycle tomorrow. If you've never done that, they've done, I think this is their 4th or 5th, and for 21 days, it's a free program if you have internet access. You sign up on chopremeditation.com, and they will send you a daily email, and you click on that, and Oprah and Deepak guide you through meditation with just a brief little lesson right before that. And I happen to own a few of them, and I use them for myself when I want to be meditated, when I'm not facilitating a meditation. So I ask, I sit down and I listen, or we use it in some of our meetings here when we have a group. So that begins tomorrow. So you have a new opportunity if you've never done it, or if you'd done it and forgotten about it. It's a wonderful chance to join in consciousness for 21 days, which again that's a division of 3, isn't it? Okay, 3. Trip to Jerusalem represents our intention to erase, or as we know later on, crucify our attachment to the temptations of sense consciousness. So the willingness that Jesus had to travel to Jerusalem, or the willingness that people had from the outlying communities to travel to Jerusalem, was an intention to erase, to let go, to dissolve any of those things, real or imagined, thoughts or actions that stand in the way of that holiness and our own Christ-like nature. The temple, to which Jesus went when he got there, symbolizes our spiritually revitalized ego personality. Well, we talk about the temple being our temple of God. So the temple represents that for our individuals. And then, as we said, he was driving out the money changers. And that represents the cleansing of our body, mind, and soul of error, thoughts, habits, and intention. So if we have ego and attachment that's attached to the symbolic money changers, and if we are engaging in habits that are negative or contrary to our highest good, notice, I don't say what those are. This isn't a commercial that says if you eat this, this, and this, bad for you. If you do this and this, bad for you. It's not about that. We must each be awake and aware to what is right for our individual body, mind, soul expressions. And each of you know what, if you eat a certain thing, it doesn't work for you as well. Or if you engage in a certain activity, you know those things. Or if you're just simply engaging in the negative thought where you're being self-critical over and over and over and over again of yourself, judging others, you know that. That's what we're talking about releasing. And each of us have to identify that for ourselves, and we do that through a spiritual practice. We do that from becoming still and quiet and turning within to the city of Jerusalem within, and allowing ourselves to be meek and teachable, to listen to the higher self and say, what will you have me do? How may I serve? So, from the unity perspective, what Palm Sunday is about, I'm going to synthesize it, it is our conscious surrender to our innate divinity. It reawakens our childlike faith. Initially, it stirs the entire consciousness, the city in turmoil, Jerusalem, or the city in turmoil within you, and we sense there is something wonderful at work, but do not yet quite understand its full implications. So here we are, trusting, walking into our little Jerusalem city here, and I stand up here and I say, okay, 27 things in 9 days, go. And there's part of you that went, okay. Some of you just listened and trusted, or it sounded like a great challenge, or you were thinking it anyway, and you were getting ready to release, and you wanted that change, and there's that nature of spring that calls us forth to have why it's come as spring cleaning, and you said, okay, we'll do this. And you may not have known the demonstrations to take place. You may not have known the outpicture, and you may not have known that somebody would donate desks and file cabinets to you and gluten-free crackers. You may not have known that your willingness to release all the clutter and the stuff and change and repurpose was going to outpicture as that. You don't have to always know the outpicturing, and yet we can. Maybe there is a goal of a clean office, a different, a healthy, trimmer body, a new position, new relationship. You may have a goal in mind. Or you may just be trusting and clearing it out so that you become this. Maybe that's why I like acrylic and glass. Sorry, I just had my own understanding. Because it's clear. You may see through it. So by doing these processes, there is the fact that you become the clear vessel of spirit by which God fills you. Instead of being filled by the ego, by people around you, by expectations or what you were taught you were supposed to be doing and expecting, and you judge yourself by television and movies and the media and neighbors, and instead being that clear vessel and adding unto thee. Ooh. So the power of spirit helps us to rid ourselves of old tapes, negative thoughts, beliefs, and actions. And if they don't serve us, it's time to go. It is a purification. We are purging. It's a chemicalization. It's an alchemy that takes place in spring when we are releasing and preparing for something new. So the metaphysical meaning here, if you know how the law of mind works and you resist it, the law continues to work no matter what, and it will mirror back to you your resistance. There is a law in the universe and you can use it. I've heard that somewhere. This will not change because that's why they call it the law. It is you that use the law. It's you that has to change. The law doesn't change. That law is immutable, eternal. So it is those of us working in this world, working with the law, that need to change. And the simple act of 27 things in 9 days, or 9 days and 9 things in 27 days if it works better for you, the idea being is that you do it. Something that begins to feel right for you. The same thing is, that's why I'm not going to say to you, you have to eat this or walk like this or do that, because what I suggest may not be right for you, but you know what is right for you. These are all tools, ideas, stepping stones along the path to Jerusalem by which you purify, you release, you let go, and you can move to the Christ-like, the enlightened one, nature that you are. And it doesn't matter what church or spiritual center you attend. That is our charge. That's what we do. And I love the fact that we have it, a couple of reminders every year that say, how are we doing with that? Is it time for a little boost, a little spring cleaning, a little goose? He goes on to say, in other words, you have to surrender to the way it works. Palm branches were used in celebration of victory. The disciple John even saw a vision of a multitude of palm branches as in heaven before the event. I love that. So we had disciples who were obviously doing the spiritual practice. He had a vision. He foretold and saw this event. I don't know if he influenced Jesus in the idea and said, I think you ought to come in this way and there should be palms. I don't know. The idea being that John and the disciples were doing the work, following the path, and trusting the process. So the crowd spread and they did the palm fronds, the way we would do a red carpet, and the gesture recognized the royalty because they did think he was king and savior. And so Palm Sunday, today, is about the celebration of victory, which is the acceptance of our higher truth. We are victors over being trapped by old thinking, old dogma, old patterns, old stuff around us. If it's that simple to just release old things, and again, I'm not talking about throwing it away. You can donate it, you can repurpose it, you could even look at it. How many of you, I know some of the people in our Thursday groups have been doing this, they've been going through closets and boxes and stuff, and then you find something you haven't seen in years. And so you have two options, well, three. You look at it and you go, oh my God, there it is, I missed it, oh, I love it. And then you dust it off and you put it in someplace new so you can appreciate it. Or you could release it. Or you can go, oh, I can't get, and it'll end up in the box again. So we're trying different things in our group. And we've also found, and Polly and I proved it yesterday, it really helps when you've got someone who is in on this process with you. as kind of a little coach. So that, you can have, I think that Don even sent an article to me, somebody said that if you take an article of clothing and you put it in a different part of the closet or in a different colored hanger, you hang it up differently. And in 21 days, there's that thing again, if you haven't worn it, bye-bye. Now, I'm not talking about special events like a tuxedo that you might need for that or, an evening thing. Of course, you're not going to wear that all the time, but I'm talking about the basic stuff. Or the basic, oh my gosh, one of the places where I'm easily getting rid of 27 things, you open the cupboard, how many Starbucks mugs can a person have? Don't answer that. So you look at it, and you can reappreciate it, and maybe repurpose it even in your own home. Maybe, which is what I did, one of those Starbucks mugs I loved, but it wasn't great for coffee. You know how some of us you want a certain mug for coffee? So it's now a pencil holder. So I repurposed it. A few of them I did release. Really, truly, I did. So you get to decide. And if you pull out something or you look on the wall and there's something and there's a tug, maybe it's not time to release that yet. But what it did for you is, first of all, it kept you conscious and mindful, and then it probably brought you back to the memory of the person, place, or thing that it was attached to that item. And so you got to be there again and appreciate that person or remember that event and feel yourself full of that and in gratitude. And then perhaps the item goes back up for a while. And who knows, in a few months, weeks, or maybe next year when I charge you with this, it will be time to release that. But don't judge yourself if you can't at the moment. This is not a punitive exercise by any stretch of the imagination. This really is to engage you, invite you, to get you so fired up and enthusiastic and releasing things. Besides, there's a little payoff. You release things, you got room for more. I don't mean more mugs. I'm talking about more that life has, capital L, life has to bring for you. The things that maybe your heart has always wanted and desired and you thought were never possible, you didn't deserve it, you weren't ready, blah, 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 didn't have the money, blah, 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 didn't have the room, blah, blah, blah. Just trusting the process of entering into your own Jerusalem to clear out that which no longer serves you in the egoic sense will create a space and place by which your higher nature may appear, evolve, and receive. So this Holy Week, this Passion Week, I should have danced to happy again, that's what it's about. So for those of us who came from that traditional thing where we were very somber and reverent, and I am respectful and reverent of what the teachings still continue to offer us. I am still in respect and reverence of Jesus the Christ, the master teacher. And I have a heck of a good time doing it. There's still the element of joy, which outpictures for me as fun and enthusiasm, so that every charge that I have, I try and find that golden nugget of joy within it. Releasing, cleaning, letting go, and preparing for what is next week, which is the resurrection, which is the awakening, the revival that we have. Ernest Holmes says, life is good, God is good. Why not accept this and begin to live? I say yes. I say yes. And Ralph Waldo Emerson said, do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. And if there is anyone that I know of that did that, it was Jesus. Creating this path for us, that we get to interpret and understand from our own innate wisdom. Remember, he said and taught, I of myself do nothing, and what I do, you too can do. So we teach in religious science, and this is where it gets really celebratory, we teach that we are all one, that we are of the one mind. That means I am of the one mind of Jesus. I have that available to me. And so when I get still, when I get quiet, with or without Deepak and Oprah, and I turn within to that Jerusalem, I may sing different hosannas of joy about my spirit, my Christ nature. And I get to share it with all of you, where we come together of like mind to share in this process on this path. So let us get still and go in for just a little process together before we close. So whether you've been engaging in the 27 for 9 process with us, and that's usually about external things, items. What I'd like you to do today is turn within to the city of Jerusalem and enter in a meek, receptive mode, and know that the place has been cleared, blessed, and sanctified before you. And ask of your higher self, what is it within your mind, your heart, your activities, a thought or belief or an action that you would like to release? A pattern, a habit, the critical voice that talks to you and harangues you, your impatience with a loved one or a beloved companion, fur companion, an expectation of another person. Let your higher self reveal to you a thought, an action, a habit, a behavior that you want to release this Holy Week. And as you rest upon it, it might stir up some stuff. It may feel uncomfortable. It may even start the critical voice by saying, oh, not that again. I thought we handled that. Oh, is that still going to haunt us? Perhaps, maybe this is the time. This is the week. And as I said earlier in the service, there's something about doing this process with another, sharing it, having it witnessed, having the support from the sidelines. So whatever it is that you have chosen to release this week, know that you don't do it alone. That the friends here, the practitioners who are praying for you in a 21-day prayer process, the angels in heaven, metaphorically, that all of the universe conspire to support you in your desire. For this is Passion Week. So that desire precedes you, desire of the Father that is within you. And just take whatever that idea, thought, behavior you want in and put it in the center of the room, what I call the prayer hopper, or put it on your altar, literal or metaphorical, and give it over. Release it. Let it go. And know that whatever you need to know, feel, or understand about that through the rest of this week unto Easter will come effortlessly to you. The inspiration to make a phone call, the inspiration to write a letter, the inspiration to join a gym, whatever it is that you need to do for your specific thing, the information, the opportunities will effortlessly unfold with palm fronds clearing the way. Now surrender and release it and come back to being centered with the eyes closed so that we may move into a sacred prayer. And this is where I ask the licensed practitioners of our center to please join me up here. The reason I ask them to do that, and I know they have to open their eyes and wend their way up here, is not so much that you get to see who they are, and some of them you may or may not know. It's really about this opportunity of standing in this truth, knowing that even the ones who are present today and the ones who are not here are engaging in a 21-day spiritual practice of praying for each of our members to know our wholeness, well-being, upliftment, and for specific requests that we've received. As we do for anyone who puts something in our prayer chest, as we do in confidentiality if you sit with a practitioner in the 1-minute miracle. So together we are here standing for this infinite truth on this holy week, this holy day, in this holy moment, knowing with and for you the greater idea of God, because there is a power in the universe that is greater, and it is time that you use it, that you own it and claim it, So the eternality of this idea on this holy, passionate week comes forth through us in ways that we couldn't have even imagined. Knows of itself as health, wholeness, vitality, healing. Knows of itself as creativity and expression, collaboration. It knows of itself as abundance in all ways, all needs met from source. Knows as itself as love, more love, and a little extra love on the side. And each of us, this holy week where we are charged, where we are vibrant and chemically in tune to this idea, we see things differently. We see with the eyes of God, we hear with the ears of spirit, and we act with the heart of love that we are in all that we do with each other and all that we do for ourselves. That's what I affirm and know. That's what the practitioners are affirming and knowing, and that is your charge as well. So all I can do is simply give thanks, because I am praising so that we are raising ourselves and each other to that higher state of consciousness in gratitude and glee. I bless, release, and now surrender this service and this prayer. I let it go. No attachments, no strings. Trust, faith, and honor. I let it be, and I ask that you join me as we say together, and so it is, and so I am, and so we are. Amen.